Hello and welcome to Module 4. In this module, we are going to discuss alternatives in language assessment methods. In this video, we will discuss the characteristics of alternatives in assessment. First of all, you can see that assessment methods can be classified into traditional and alternative assessments. What are the differences between them? In general, traditional assessments are the conventional and familiar methods of testing, which usually produce a written document such as quiz, exam, or paper. Standardized tests and high school graduation examination are some examples of traditional assessments. Meanwhile, alternative assessments are not conducted in traditional method with limited time, standardized content and procedures. Teachers as assessor, statistic analysis of results, and so on. Alternative assessments have many positive characteristics. For instance, they require students to perform, create it, or produce something, tapping into their higher thinking level and problem-solving abilities. They also allow students to be assessed on what they normally do in class every day. They use real-world context and focus on both product and process. Moreover, in terms of administration, alternative methods in assessment are non-intrusive. That is, they match classroom activities. They also encourage public disclosure of standards or criteria. In addition, alternative assessments use human judgment in result interpretation and can provide information about the strengths and weaknesses of students. Finally, alternative assessments call upon teachers to perform new assessment roles such as communicating with students and schools and reporting feedback. So, that's something about traditional and alternative methods in assessment. But the assessment methods in general can also be classified into three types according to the type of response, which are selected response assessments, constructed response assessments, and personal response assessments. Each of these types has their own advantages and disadvantages. Regarding selected response assessments, they present students with language materials and require them to choose the correct answer from a limited set of options. In general, selected response assessments are quick to administer. Scoring them is fast, easy, and relatively objective. However, they have two disadvantages. They are quite difficult for the test writer to construct, and they do not require students to use any productive language. Some commonly used types of selected response assessments are true, false, not given, matching, multiple choice questions, and closed test. Some other types that you might know well but not so familiar with their names are closed ELI test and C-test. In fact, these are just adaptations of closed tests. C-test is like closed tests in the way that they ask students to complete text which has several words left missing. But in a C-test, the first two letters of each missing word are given. Differently, a closed ELI test contains text with some unnecessary words which need to be detected and deleted by the test takers. And these types of closed tests are suggested to be good indicators of general proficiency because they require the candidate to combine many areas of language knowledge to solve the task. And the second assessment type we mentioned is constructed response assessments, which require students to produce language by writing, speaking, or doing something else. Hence, these assessments are probably most appropriate for measuring the productive skills of speaking and writing. Moreover, constructed response items help eliminate some of the guessing factor, but they create problems of subjectivities, especially when human judgments get involved in rating the answers. For example, a blank to fill in a get feeling exercise might have many possible answers which the key doesn't cover. Some raters may think it's reasonable to give credit to such answers, while others may not. In another case, raters can disagree on whether minor errors like lacking S element in a plural noun are accepted or not. Lastly, we come to personal response assessments. Like constructed response assessments, personal response assessment requires students to actually produce language. But personal response assessments also allow students to communicate what they want to communicate. The most common types of personal response assessments are conferences, portfolios, self-assessment, and peer assessment. The very first type, conferences, may sound unfamiliar to some teachers. It usually involves the student visiting the teacher's office to discuss a particular piece of work or learning process. Teachers can conduct a series of conferences with a student, and during the conferences, the focus could be on students' view and worries about what they are experiencing in their learning. This can be a very useful way to observe and gather information about students and foster them to reflect on their own learning processes. So, basically, we have covered the characteristics of some methods in assessment. And this is the end of the first video. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video in this module.